y'all, welcome and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Morgan, and here we do a little bit of everything spooky. We tell scary stories, whether they be ones you send to me or ones that I've experienced throughout my life. We talk about scary movies, folklore, all kinds of stuff. So if that sounds cool to you, I would love to have you. I post every day except for Sundays normally. To find where to send your own stories and my other social medias, please check below in that description. I will link everything. Now today I have one of my own personal stories to share with you. I don't really talk about this one a lot because there's like personal stuff in it, but it's fine. I want to share it, and it was something really creepy that I experienced when I was younger. So this story happened at my grandmother's house when I was in middle school, because this happened before my grandfather got sick and he passed away at the end of me being in middle school. So a little bit about some family traditions we have. So my house growing up was right beside of my aunt's house, right beside of my uncle's house, and right beside of my grandparents' house. We all kind of lived right there because everyone at one point or another helped on the farm that I grew up on. So we were all just kind of right there. Well, my dad and I were at my grandparents' house all the time. We would stop, he would pick me up from school, and we would stop every single day to eat lunch on the weekdays. And on Friday nights, we would all come down there. My aunt and uncle would be over there, and we would just hang out until late at night. So this occurred on one of those Fridays. So we're all down there. It's probably around like 9 p.m. at this point, and we're about to say goodbye. Now, before I tell you what happens next, I need to kind of give you some background on what my grandparents' house looked like. It was a double wide trailer. I don't know if, not a double wide. It was a single wide trailer. Don't know if you guys have ever been in one or seen one, but here's a little bit of the layout. So you would walk in the front door and be met with their living room, which was covered in the wood paneling. Straight ahead was a chair that always housed my grandfather. He always sat in that leather chair right in front of the door. Now, beside of the door, as you're walking in, was a matching leather couch behind the door. And to your right, if you walked through a little wooden archway, you would be in the kitchen, where there was a big table, and my grandmother always sat at the end facing into the living room. She was always there. So when we went to my grandparents' house, we would oftentimes sit in the kitchen with her because my grandfather did not talk. He rarely spoke. I think once he got sick, because he got dementia, he started talking a bit more, but before then he just didn't talk. My parents' theories were that it was due to the war. He just really lost his ability or want to speak after that. But he said some stuff. But regardless, he didn't join us in the kitchen for conversation. That was not something that man enjoyed. So we're getting up from the kitchen table. I remember leaning down to hug my grandmother bye, and I just happened to look over into the living room where my grandfather was sitting in that chair. And beside of him, holding his hand, was a little boy. The little boy, he had the same color eyes as my dad. They were bright blue. And he had like dark hair, a bowl cut. I don't exactly remember what he was wearing, but he was very young. And he was staring at me, looked kind of in shock, I'm assuming, because he was like, why is she seeing me right now? But my grandfather was looking right at him, smiling, holding his hand. So I looked away really quick, and I look back, and that little boy is gone. I walk in there, hug my grandfather bye, and then head home. So I get home, and I'm just casually telling my mom what happened. Her and dad are used to me seeing things that don't make sense. My mom sees things too, sometimes my dad as well, but they're all just used to that. No one really bats an eye. Well, my mom is talking to my dad's sister, not the one that's usually down there. She lived further away, a few weeks later, and his sister kind of gets a little weird. She's like, well, you know, my mom lost a child. So it's weird because he looked like my dad, looked like a sibling, and that was news to the family, at least to my mom and me. I didn't know she had lost a child, but she did. So a few weeks after that, my grandfather got pretty sick and did not make it long after that until he passed away. And to this day, everyone in my family is just pretty convinced that that was his child that didn't make it coming back to get him, and I just happened to be able to see it. It was quite an experience. That is not the only time that I have had a relative visit me that I did not know. That bonus story. There was a time that we took some friends up. Okay, I torment my friends. I understand that. But there is a specific scary movie that I show everyone that I'm friends with, and it is The Dark and the Wicked. The Dark and the Wicked is a Shudder film that takes place on a farm, and it is horrific. It is one of the scariest movies that I have ever seen. I have Maybe Smile 2, one of the jump scares, kind of rivaled it, but it is terrifying. And it takes place on a farm. So my husband and I bought a projector and we just take it up to the farm, project it on the side of the barn, and just force our friends to sit and watch it. I know. And I wonder why I can't keep a friend. Anyways, this was what happened with the new friend group we had. We were up there and we were putting everything together. We were folding up tables because we had food there, and I was putting stuff back in the barn. And when I was at the barn, there was this woman, this apparition of a woman inside. She had like a dress up to her neck, her hair in a tight bun, scowling at me. This woman looked so mad. And I remember telling my dad about it a few weeks later, and he was like, huh, when I was describing her. And he gets up and walks away into another room, comes back and puts down a picture, and it is the woman that I saw. And I was like, who is that? Y'all, that was my great-grandmother that I, as far as I know, had never seen a picture of. If I did, I didn't remember it. And yep, that was really weird. I'm sure there's other instances of that happening, but those are the two that are sticking out to me right now. I don't know what I did to my great-grandmother, but she was not happy that I was up there. Anyways, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and letting me tell you some spooky stories, and I will see you tomorrow.